Upon finishing my first stretch of solo travel on the road, I felt a mixture of emotions, ranging from accomplished to sad to pure joy, and I spent a few days doing nothing at these beaches, sorting out everything I had just gone through before returning home, knowing full well that I was not the same person I was when I left. I thought back to my first week on the road and how devastated I was. I thought I had made a huge mistake, destroying my life. For what? To travel? And I kept thinking that this would all just crumble and fall apart. I remember there were a couple days there in South Dakota where I could not stop myself from uncontrollably crying all day long, thinking about how I ruined my life.
I'm having a bit of an emotional morning. I think everything hit me. That I literally gave up everything I have in life.
I thought I could go home, beg for my job back, beg for my apartment back. It wasn't too late, but something deep inside me told me to keep on driving, and things started to change. I learned so much that first month on the road. How to be flexible, how to adapt, how to be alone while still having purpose, how to embrace incessant change, and finding the person I wanted to be. So much of my personal value and identity was tied up in my relationship to others. But when I stripped that all away, who was I? The stories we tell ourselves about who we are can be defined and influenced based on what people tell us about ourselves. People would tell me who I was, but it wasn't who I wanted to be. As I peeled back the layers I wore to define myself in all those relationships, I was surprised by what I found at the center. Changing my life was not easy for a variety of reasons, but the biggest hurdle of them all was my own self-doubt. At the end of it all, no one really cared that I left everything behind. My parents were fine, my friends were fine, everyone was fine, but I was the one who wasn't. I had created this monster built on expectations in my head, but it was of my own creation. Worries about what people will think, about finding acceptance, about being enough, making it on my own, and how I valued myself all came into question on the road. These were things I truly grappled with when I was finally alone. Society doesn't really care if you are different. Yeah, people make comments, but everyone is so wrapped up in their own world, they won't really notice you briefly driving by. Just a passing comment. It was really the things I told myself that affected me the most. I was a clean slate. I could be whoever I wanted to be. But I would have no one to blame if I failed. Only me. I put a lot of weight to what I thought failure would look like it would be measurable somehow, and I would have a clear sign to give up and cut my losses. I realized life doesn't work that way. You can always keep pushing. You can always keep trying endless times at something. Failure only happens when you let it. I learned to loosen up. Life is too heavy to dwell on the negative situations in my life all the time. This freed up a ton of mental real estate for me to stop and really take in the beauty of my surroundings. I released myself from the confines of my own little world, and I finally saw how big the world can truly be if you let it. And boy, is it beautiful. I learned to accept that I do not control anything except my own actions and reactions to situations. Nature is going to do what it's going to do, whether you are there or not. People are going to say whatever they want to you. Situations will happen to you that you don't want to be in. Accepting that allowed me to be flexible, but also not to lose myself when I was not in control. Finally, I learned to stop being my own worst enemy. As a chronic overthinker, negative thoughts can quickly snowball out of control and become debilitating to get anything done. Being outside all the time taught me to slow down, to breathe, to focus on things outside of myself, to listen to the birds, to smell the air in the forest rich with pine, to touch the cool ground, to remain present. The first sight of the ocean after a long time in the desert was probably the most rehabilitating feeling for me. I didn't realize how tied I felt to the ocean, and the absence of it felt as if I was missing a part of me. The Atlantic Ocean has been a home to me my whole life. It's been where I've gone to get away, to find peace, to find strength, and to find healing. It was really my first ever solo trip when I first got my license. I remember hopping in the driver's seat and driving straight to the ocean. Traveling to the beaches to stargaze, to have long talks with close friends and family, and to soak in the sun and walk aimlessly along the coast with nowhere to be, and the world just seems to fade into the background, with only open possibilities in front of you. I was on a walk on the beach with my sister when I first said out loud that I wanted to travel in my car. Meaningful things for me always happen near the ocean. Returning to the ocean for me reminds me of my past, but it also reminds me of my future. It's the same beach, but with ever-changing sand and water, just like us. The same body and vessel, but we become different people throughout the course of our lives as seasons change. I am not the same person I was when I started this journey, and I sure am grateful for that. But I also know I won't be the same after my next adventure. This leaves me a little sad. I'm never going to get a second first time on the road. I had it, and it was wild and wonderful and liberating. The best time in my life. And traveling won't look the same for me going forward. I've learned so much that I'm going to take with me, but I still have so much to learn. And so much more room to grow. But for the first time in my life, I truly love the direction I'm going in. Well, that was the coldest thing I've ever done. Moral of the story, don't do an outdoor shower.